Hi, church. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Brock. I've definitely missed worshiping with everybody, and I can't wait until we can come together as a church body and worship all together in the same place. It's crazy to think about these last few months. Who would have thought that in 2020, in the United States of America, a virus would come and shut down our country the way it has? I know I never thought this would happen, and especially not in the way that it has happened. I know that many of us have had many struggles, whether that be in our work life or for us personally and our families. And now as we try to start getting back to normal, we're all thinking, now what? What does that look like for our nation, for our state, for our city, for us personally? If I had to guess, it's going to look a lot different for all of us, which then leads to the next question. How will I be different, or how do I want to be different? Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is that I know I will always make sure I have extra toilet paper on hand because we never know when the next pandemic hits and we can't find any toilet paper in the stores. But in all seriousness, I guess there's been a lot of things that have come to mind as I've thought about this question. And during this time period, I feel like God has prompted me to ask a lot of questions and evaluate a lot of things. I feel like God has actually forced me to make some decisions about the stuff that I believe, and that, he's kind of like, okay, where do you stand on this? And sometimes, I'm maybe a little more wishy-washy when things are going great, and that's not something that you can do when you're in a situation like we have been. And so some of the things I guess that I've thought about are, am I going to run and hide in my house and let anxiety and fear control me? I mean, I'm definitely a worrier by nature, and I've definitely had to fight some of that worry that's tried to creep up during this time period. Am I going to turn my focus in on me and myself and only worry about my family and those closest to me? Or am I going to step up and, focus on others where I can? This is definitely a time where we've needed a lot of people to step up. Am I going to be a voice of reason, a voice of hope? Because I am someone who has a true hope, a rock to stand on in the midst of the pandemic. Or am I going to just be another voice in the crowd of people who are helplessly tossed about in the storms of life with no anchor to hold on to? The thing that comes to mind is that my husband always says, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the time in our life where we're actually going to live out what we believe, or are we going to abandon the things that we always say we believe? And I think that the thing that stands out to me as I look forward is that I don't want to be who I was before this started. I think God has tested and challenged my faith, grown my faith, and once again made me rely on Him more than myself. And ironically, this is the whole relying on Him kind of keeps coming up in my life, and I guess God just doesn't really think I'm quite getting it yet, so I think He keeps bringing that up into my own personal life until I finally get what He's trying to teach me. But another thing I think about is that I don't want to be a person who takes things for granted. Before all this, I feel like I never really gave a ton of thought about actually losing my freedoms. I mean, we live in America and we are free, right? I guess I've always appreciated the sacrifices of our military men and women, but I feel like I want to be a person who lives intentionally in a way that doesn't take my freedoms for granted. Things like being able to see my family whenever I want, being able to hug people whenever I want. For those that know me, know that the whole no hugging thing has been very difficult for me, and I look forward to when I can hug the people that I love again. I look forward to going to church and worshiping together, and being able to go to the hair salon when I need to get my hair done, or more importantly, going to Marshall's for the second day in a row because simply I just love that store, and maybe I need to go there again because I'm sure they have something that I need. But I guess the long and short of it is this. I guess I don't want to be the same person I was before this happened. I want to be changed, not only during the crisis, but take the lessons and live them out continually. I don't want this to be a time of struggle that was for nothing, that God is taking me through it, and I came out no better than I was going in. I don't want to waste what God's plan for me is or miss the lessons he has in store for me. I guess I want to be a person who sings about God's faithfulness in our lives during the COVID pandemic and for many years to come. I want this to be part of our story that we will use to tell of God's grace and mercy to the coming generations. I keep thinking about one of my favorite passages, Matthew 5 verse 16, that says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." I guess most of all, I want to be a light that shines brighter for God's glory, brighter than I did before all this happened, and I'll be a light that points others to Christ even in a pandemic. I pray that as you continue to think about how you will be different as things start returning to normal, whatever normal will be for you, that you too will think about what God has done in your life, and that those lessons will be a change that stays with you forever, and that you will tell of God's faithfulness for many years to come, and that you will be a light that brings him glory.